Hello students, welcome to this online course of hydraulics engineering. So in the previous lecture, we have seen about the various aspects of the hydraulic jump. So we have seen the momentum equation. Why momentum equation is being discussed? Because eh, during the phenomena of hydraulic jump, the energy equation is not applicable due to loss of energy. Energy equation can be only applied when the energy is conserved, but in hydraulic jump there is a loss of energy, so we have to take the help of other equations, which is our momentum equation. So we have discussed the momentum equation. After that uh, we have derived the formula for the sequent depth ratio y2 by y1, which was half minus plus under root 1 plus 8 f1 square. And if you will take the reciprocal of this, that is y1 by y2, so the f1 will be replaced by f2. And we have also seen the energy loss formula. It was in terms of y1 and y2, y1 minus y2 whole cube by 4 times y1 y2. And also we have derived in terms of your Froude number. Okay, so now today we are going to see the classification of hydraulic jump. So hydraulic jump can be classified into 5 various categories. So here we are seeing only 3, and 2 can be seen here. So let us discuss one by one. First is your undular jump. So when the Froude number lies between 1.7 to 1, then that type of jump will be termed as undular jump. So what are the characteristics of this type of jump? The water surface is undulating with a very small ripple on the surface. So surface will have very small ripple, and the sequent depth ratio is very small. So it will result in the loss to be practically zero. So EL by E1 will be zero. So let me just show you this is the diagram. If undular jump will look like this. So very small ripple is there, and you can see there is hardly any energy is being lost. Secondly, second type of jump is weak jump. So Froude number should be lying between 1.7 to 2.5. Now, what is the characteristics? So the surface roller makes its appearance at Froude number 1.7. So if Froude number is somewhere around 1.7, then the surface roller will appear. You will get to see the uh, surface rollers. So that is why, and it will gradually increase in intensity towards the end of this range, that is 2.5. And energy dissipation is 18% for, like, if the Froude number is 2.5, and if it is 1.7 it is 5%. This is also not a very huge amount of energy loss. So you can see rollers are being started at the depth of y1, and they will be vanished after uh, when we are reaching towards the y2. So the Froude number will be something around 2.5. Now third type of jump is your oscillating jump. So Froude number should be lying between 2.5 to 4.5. Now this category of jump is characterized by an instability of the high velocity flow in the jump, which oscillates in a random manner between the bed and the surface. So the motion is oscillating. So the what are the currents which will be generated will be oscillating between the surface and the bed of the surface. These oscillations produce large surface waves that travel considerable distances downstream. So we have to take the special care to suppress the waves in Stirling Basin having this kind of jump, and the loss is around 45%. So this is, you can say, a significant amount of loss due to jump. So you can see here, so you can see these are first reaching to surface, then they are hitting the bed, and that in this manner they are oscillating. That is why the name oscillating jump is being provided. Fourth one is your steady jump. So the Froude number should lie between 4.5 to 9. In this range of Froude number, the jump is well established. The roller and jump action is fully developed to cause appreciable energy loss. So here you can see loss of energy is 45 to 70%. So after jump only 30 around 30% energy will be remaining to the flow. The steady jump is least sensitive in terms of toe position to small fluctuation in the tail water elevation. This means that it will intact its position. It will not going to change very easily. That is why the name steady is being provided. The last one is strong or choppy jump. So Froude number is greater than 9, then the resulting jump will be termed as strong or choppy jump. So in this class of jump, the water surface is very rough and choppy. The water surface downstream the jump is also rough and wavy, and the sequent ref ratio is large, and energy dissipation will be greater than 70%. Now it is of course obvious that the above classification is based on purely subjective consideration of the certain gross physical characteristics. So it is not very hard and fast that if Froude number is 4.5, exactly 4.5, then it will be steady jump. So these are the indicative numbers. As such, the range of Froude number indicated must not be taken too rigidly. Local factors in stilling basing design can cause overlaps in the range of Froude numbers. So this I have already discussed. So you can just try to have a look on steady jump, and this is a strong or choppy jump. Now let us see to check the other characteristics of jump in a rectangular channel. So length of the jump. So you can see this from here till here is the length of jump. In this case, this is here from wherever the jump is starting, and at the point where it is vanishing, that length is termed as the length of the jump. So the length of the jump is an important parameter affecting the size of stilling basing in which jump is used. So we have to, if we want to have energy loss, so we will design our stilling basing according to the length of the jump. It should be greater than length of jump so that the energy dissipation will take place. We have to provide the space to the jump so that it can dissipate the energy as per our requirement. There have been many definitions of the length of jump, resulting in some confusions in comparing various studies. So as we have already told you in the beginning of this chapter, that this chapter is very much dynamic. There is a lot of research is going on, and we are not having any concrete data that is defining the phenomena of jump. So that is why there are various definitions to the length of jump also. It is now usual to take the length of jump as the horizontal distance between the toe of the jump to a section where the water surface level of after reaching the maximum depth. So this I have already told you in the diagram. Now, because the water depth profile is very flat towards the end of the jump, large personal error are introduced in determination of the length of the jump, that is LJ. The denotation is LJ. So you can see here. So this is the flat region. We have to check where the jump is being flat. So somebody can see, okay, this is the point where the jump is being flatted, because so much turbulence will be here. So someone can say, okay, this is the point, so this is the point. So that is why it is very erroneous. Now experimentally it is found that length by y2 is a function of f1, and it is evident from that while Lj by y2 depends on f1 for small values of the inlet Froude number, at higher values when the Froude number is greater than 5, the relative jump is practically constant beyond a Froude number value of 6.1. Okay, so it will become a constant, and the Lg can be given by 6.9 y2 minus y1. So this is a conventional way to, if in the examination they are asking, very less probability is there that they are going to ask, but still if they are going to ask, then length of jump y1 y2 should be provided, and just take the difference, multiply by 6.9 will give you the length of that particular jump. Now what is the pressure distribution in a jump? The pressure at the toe of the jump and at the end of the jump follows hydrostatic pressure distribution. So that is quite evident also, because at those points the water surface is horizontal and the pressure variation will be your hydrostatic pressure. However, inside the body of the jump, strong curvatures of the streamline causes the pressure to deviate from the hydrostatic distribution, And observations of Rajaratnam have shown, he is a scientist, very great scientist, shown that in the initial portions of the jump, the pressure in the body, jump body will be less than the hydrostatic pressure. So this is his observation based on his experiments. The deficit from the hydrostatic pressure increase with an increase of the initial Froude number F1. So F1 will, if F1 is very high, so the hydrostatic pressure, the difference of that particular pressure from hydrostatic pressure will be greater. However, at the bottom of the channel and in a narrow region close to the bed, the pressure are essentially hydrostatic. Thus, the pressure head profile on the bed is the same as mean water surface profile. So we can take the mean of the elevation and we can draw the we can draw using the hydrostatic variation inside the jump. Last is your velocity profile. Now, when the supercritical stream at the toe enters the jump body, it undergoes shearing action at the top as well as the at the solid boundaries. So this deviation is due to the shearing action. So here it is the shearing action at the surface, and this is shearing action due to the at the bottom of the solid, uh, you can say at the bed. The top surface of the high velocity flow will have high relative velocities with respect to the fluid mass that overlays it, and the intense shear at the surface generates a free shear layer which entrains the fluid from overlying mass of the fluid. That is true because the shear will be very high. Now the boundary shear at the bed causes a retardation of the body velocity in the boundary layer. So due to this boundary, due to the no slip condition, the layers will get retarded, and you can see that velocity deficiency near the boundary. It is seen that the velocity profile has two distinct portions, a forward flow in the lower main body and a negative velocity region at the top. So you can see here, let me just remove it. So this is the backward flow and this is the forward flow in the lower portion and backward flow at the top region. In the forward flow, the total volumetric rate of flow will be in the excess of discharge Q entering the jump at the toe. This is due to the flow entrainment at the shear layer. So this will be more than the whatever mass has been entered. To maintain the continuity, that is to account the excess forward flow, a reverse flow exists at the top. This situation results in the formation of the roller. So here the mass flow rate is greater than Q. So Q cannot be like whatever mass is entering, that much mass can exit only. So to balance this, a reverse flow is occurring, and this will create a roller. So let me just show you how this phenomena is happening. So here velocity is something like this, here it is something like this. So this will generate a roller. So like this we can see the what jump. Now let us discuss few points regarding the use of the jump as an energy dissipator. High energy loss that occur in the hydraulic jump has held to its adoption as a part of energy dissipator system below the hydraulic structure. So it is being used very frequently to dissipate energy in the hydraulic structures. The downstream portion of the hydraulic structure where the energy dissipation is deliberately allowed to occur so that the outgoing stream can safely be conducted to the channel below a knowing chilling basin. So we have to make the water flow in this channel, and we are having a very huge like head of water, so it will have very high energy. We have to, if this channel cannot take that much energy, so what we are going to do, we will make the water flow here. We will provide the length apron is, this is called as apron, where the energy loss is been taking. So after the lost energy, the water can easily be flowed inside that particular channel, or whatever requirement is there, we can make the energy loss, and that then it can be flown. So it is a fully paved channel section and may have additional appendices such as baffle blocks and cells to aid in the efficient performance over a wide range of operating conditions. So these can be provided to make the process smoother. Stirling basins are so designed that not only a good jump with high energy dissipation characteristics is formed within the basin, but it is also stable. So stability is also taken care. For economic consideration, the basin must be as small as practicable. So we have to take care also that economics should be considered. It is not like we are wasting so much energy in losing the energy. Now designing a stirling basin for a given hydraulic structure involves consideration of parameters peculiar to the location of the structure in addition to mechanics of flow. This feature makes the engineering design rely rather than heavily on the experience of the designer. So here you have to take take care of the technical aspects rather than the experience. So model studies are usually resorted to arrive at an efficient design. To assist in the preliminary design, type designs are available. So in this way you can design the energy dissipators in which we are using the majorly hydraulic jump as an energy dissipator. So this is all for today. In the next lecture we are going to end this topic, and from the next lecture, next to next, we will be starting our new chapter. So this is all for today. Thank you.